Hello and welcome to WRM, Work Relationships Matter. I'm your host, the Edward Jones, founder and CEO of Pro Destiny Coaching. This is my introductory WRM Internet radio show. The purpose of this show is to let you know what I do, who I am, who I serve, why I do it, and how I help. A lot of people out there are in work relationships that aren't working that well. So I want to help people make those better. The most important thing I want to do is to engage you. I want to hear your stories. I'll tell you about me today, and then I hope to learn more about you in the future. Have you ever gone to a chamber mixer or some type of area where you're getting to know someone? The number one icebreaker that people usually use at those settings is, what do you do? That's why I'm going to start with that today. I'm a certified life coach who specializes in work relationships. A lot of people hate to go to work in the morning. Some people love it, but nothing ever stays the same. The one thing that I've heard many, many times is good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good becomes your better and your better becomes your best. And we want you to be your best at work and have a wonderful experience there. When I think about what I do, I think about what I try to bring out the best in people. People have wisdom inside of them. Have you ever talked to someone about a problem? All they did was listen, and then somehow you found the answer? In many ways, that's what I do. I help people with those situations to learn how they can actually help themselves. I bring out what is in them. I also help them determine what kind of relationship they want at work. A lot of times people talk about people and do a lot of things that way, but they never think about what type of relationship do I want with my boss? What type of relationship do I want with my colleagues or the people I work with? When you think about that, it gives you an idea of how you can work with people to get what you want. Now, what I say is, you may want to have a great relationship with your boss, maybe a mentoring relationship. Now, maybe your boss doesn't want to do that, but that doesn't stop you from wanting that. And if there's a law of attraction, what you'll look at, you will find a way to get that mentor relationship. If you want to have a better relationship with your colleagues, what can you do to make that better? How can you be the colleague that you want others to be? So that's the idea that I think about, is to think and be intentional about what you want. Another way of looking at it, I guess, is illustrated by this experience. One day, our boss was just really, really upset, just going off about so many things, shaming and blaming, and I'd had it up to here with that person. I wish I had done this, but my colleague did. With all, I was going to let them know what I really thought, which would have been fatal for me at that time. But this is what he did. Rather than getting angry and go up to the level of negative energy where the person was, he just said in a quiet way, how can I help? Completely changed the situation, completely changed the atmosphere, because he was thinking about the kind of relationship he wanted, rather than following the lead of the person who had a, 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 an attitude that was not that constructive. So that was a great lesson for me as I looked at it. The most important thing is that work relationships work for those who work on them. Are you willing to work? Who am I? There's a movie that Denzel Washington starred in. It was called Flight. Now, he was a great pilot, great worker, but he wasn't a good teammate, wasn't a good husband, and in the end got fired because of things that were not necessarily work related, but I guess more character related. So the idea is you look at who you are versus what you do. And that's what a lot of us don't do is look at who we are because sometimes that's hard. When someone asks you, who are you? People start talking about what they do. But I think that who you are, these are your values, your behaviors, and your relationships. For me, I have four values that stand out most with me. Now, I read Brene Brown's Dare to Lead, and she said you should only have two. So I guess I'm cheating by having four, and maybe I'll whittle it down to two later on. But these are the four that work for me. The first one is curiosity. A lot of times we get into situations, we get half the information. Maybe somebody's body language is negative because they've had a bad experience somewhere else, and you judge based on limited information. What I found is the idea is to be curious, to find out the story behind the story, to find out the why. That has been a journey for me because usually I was able to quickly gather information and make decisions, and sometimes would create suboptimal decisions because of not being curious enough. So, curiosity is number one. Number two is to be courageous. Once you find out what's going on or you have a situation that could be tough, to have the courage to deal with it. James Baldwin said that everything is faced cannot be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. So, whatever it is, and sometimes conversations are the hardest thing to have, especially if you know you were wrong. You've got to correct that and move with it. Or sometimes you have to correct someone that you really care about, having the courage to do that. The next value for me is empathy, and that is to see through the eyes, hear through the ears, and feel the world as others feel it. It's different than sympathy. Sympathy you feel for them, with empathy you feel with them. Now, that doesn't mean that you agree with the person, but it means that you truly understand where they're coming from. Again, that is difficult and requires daily practice. The fourth value for me is resilience. As you go through life, you're going to get knocked around. It just happens. Things will work out, sometimes they won't. Sometimes the drops are, the harder you go, the harder to fall if it doesn't work. So, but anyway, you've got to get up. There was a story that a guy named John Cassis talked about. Mike Ditka was the coach of the 85 Bears, and he was looking at this one player, and he said, I want a guy, when you knock him down, he gets up. And he said, the guy said, is that the player you want? And he said, no, I want the guy. When you knock him down, he gets back up. You knock him down, he gets back up. You knock him down, he gets back up. He said, no, that's not the guy I'm looking for either. He said, I want the guy who's knocking everybody down. Now, obviously, that guy was resilient. He was getting up and doing what he needed to do. And so I don't want you knocking people down, but I want you to be able to lift people up, continually to lift people up. So that's the value of resilience, to be able to work through that. From a relational standpoint, I'm a husband, a father of grown children, and have 6 wonderful grandchildren. I had a major illness, and I did a lot of things, knew a lot of people, had a lot of things that needed to take place for other people. but the people who were there with me was family. Other people cared, but nobody cares as much as a loving family. And I am so blessed to still have the love and affection of my grown children and learning my grandchildren. That is a value, and that's part of who I am. So I want to always look at family, and then also um, who I am is what I've learned through my experiences, both good and bad. And so those experiences have helped me to become a better person. And it's not what happens to you, it's how you deal with it. And I think I have been able to work through a lot of things. And sometimes you need that time to wallow in the pain. And then once you hit that one, then you can decide where you want to come from. And again, that may be part of that resilience. I'm also a leader, but before I was a leader, I was a follower. Learned how to follow people, and then I learned how to learn. You never want to stop learning. And that's the thing that is a part of me. On the side, I'm learning, working on Spanish. I was working on learning how to play the piano, but I just have lost time with that one. But continually learning to practice my craft as a coach, always learning, reading, writing, doing everything I can to continue to learn to grow so that I can help other people. On the lighter side, how many of you have taken the Myers-Briggs type indicator? Well, for me, I am what is known as an ENTJ, where the E stands for extrovert, the N is for intuitive, the T is for thinking, and the J is for judging. Now, I think there are maybe 28 combinations or something even greater than that, because you've got the introversion, the sensing detail type people, you've got the perceivers, the feelers, and all that sort of thing. But I'm an ENTJ if you get into that. By zodiac, I am a Pisces. So I guess you look at that and maybe I fit that, maybe I don't. The other part in family, I am a middle child. So there has something that carry along with that. But there's so many different things that you could be, but just on the lighter side, that is what I do. I'm also a man of faith because I believe in God. Who I serve. I serve HR managers and upper and mid executives. I also serve individuals, but I serve HR managers because they see the whole of an organization. They know where issues are and how they look from the outside and what may need help as they see it from the outside. I also work with mid to upper level managers because they know their teams. They know the areas where they're strong. They know the areas where growth is needed. I work with individuals because there's that situation where people who hate to go to work and have to figure out how to navigate what I call polluted office political waters. That's a tough situation, and no one should have to suffer through that. At one institution where I worked, there was a guy who used to break out in hives when he felt on Sunday night when it was time to get ready to go to work for Monday. No one should have to live in a situation like that. So I thought it would be good to work with individuals, but I think it's more important to work with the leadership because for me, the boss was at least 50% of my happiness at work. They control your pay through evaluations. They do performance appraisals. They're supposed to help to guide you, make you a better employee, hopefully make you a better leader. They also affect your references. So a lot of things that happen are based on the boss's opinion of you or how they interact with you. So the way I look at it from the standpoint of my coaching and working with office politics and work relationships is that if you work with the leadership, they not only navigate polluted waters, they can purify it for the entire team and make work relationships work for the entire organization. So that's who I work with. That's who I focus on. As a coach, I can work in other areas, but that's the area I focus on because they say if you try to serve everybody, you end up serving no one. So that's my focus, and that's what I want to do, and that's how I want to help people. The most important thing about it too is that I love that work. So that really makes it work for me. Um, how I help. That's the important thing. The things I've been talking about for me were self-awareness. That I wanted to be aware of my values, my relationships, who I am, my strengths, and the areas that I need to grow in or to continue to work on. That's the same thing that the way I start when I work with people. I have them do an assessment. I become the mirror for them. I don't tell them who they are. I have them look at themselves. You wake up in the morning, you may shave, put on makeup or whatever you do. And then you don't look at your face for hours or maybe not the rest of the day. But other people see you. And so you want to think how you want to be seen metaphorically. So that's the thing that we look at, and it looks at trends over time. Another thing that I do is help people identify the blind spots, areas that may be dysfunctional that they may not be aware of because there's so much pressure when you're working in a situation that you may not always be aware of what's happening because of the pace and the number of people that you work with. When I used to work, I used to always go to make sure that I went to work a different way every day so that I could actually see what things from different angles. It was always interesting. And sometimes what I'd actually do is we'd make decisions in the boardroom, and then I'd go out to the areas to see actually how that information had been interpreted to people who were supposed to be implementing it. So that was the thing that I would do as a way of being able to see the organization from another angle and to see if things weren't working out well. The most important thing is you don't want to have a mission statement to set it and forget it. I would like to be able to align goals and behaviors with the mission so that what is written is also practiced. In many organizations, that's not the case. When I was a consultant, I would go to these places, look at their mission statement, look at the glossy information that they had, and I'm thinking, there's nothing to do here. These people are getting it right. And then when I started meeting with people, started really talking with people, found out that things were not as they appeared. So that was the thing that I looked at. And so that's what you want to do to make sure that everything is aligned with the goals of the organization so that people can actually see what is that they're doing is aligned with, that their behaviors are actually aligned with the mission of the organization so everybody knows what they're contributing to. And once that's done, I want to help the organization create a win-win culture. Now, consultants can give advice, really good advice about what people can do. But when you get people actually doing it themselves, doing the work, because the work is very, very hard. What I'm saying to you tonight is that, oh, everybody knows that. But putting it into practice on a daily basis under pressure, it's not that easy. So that's why when we look at align and changing culture does take time. I have what I call a good to great transformation package, which it lasts about 6 months because I've been to, or maybe people have been brought in to give these motivational speeches. Oh, the information sounds great. But then Monday morning, things go back to their regular way. There's one thing that someone said is that, sometimes a bone that's broken, and if it's not set right, has to be broken again so that it can be aligned properly. Now, I don't want it to sound like that because that sounds painful physically. But in some ways, changing organizational culture can also be painful. But the benefits are great because if you want to make sure that everybody who's working there feels like they're contributing something that's really, really good. It's good to say, what am I doing here? Is it just a paycheck? You want something that's going to be much more fulfilling than that. And everybody's a part of that. The most important thing is that everybody owns it. If you do the work, deal with the pain, the rewards are great and pay great dividends so that people who work there enjoy working there and the productivity is good so that everything works out well for everyone. On that note, they talked about the number of dollars that are lost every year due to negative office politics. I mean, the number, it's in the billions of dollars. And when you think about it, good relationships is good, and maybe there's an altruistic purpose here. But what's more important is if you're in business to make money and to be as efficient as you can with the money that you have. But if people are absent, if they're sabotaging, if they're working at cross purposes, that doesn't help. And so therefore, you're losing out on what could be very, very beneficial. And sometimes you need to do that. What I was going to say is, you go to the doctor for your physical exam. I go every 6 months. At one point, didn't go for like 3 years because I thought I was in great shape, and then got surprised that I had a major illness. But I looked great, but there was something that was going inside that was not really, really helpful. So I think it's important to always have those checkups. Now the question is, when is the best time to have an assessment for an organization? I would ask this question. When is the best time to fix the roof if you live in a rainy area? The best time to fix the roof is when the sun is shining. That's when everything is good. You can get up on there and see problem areas and correct them with relative ease. Or you could be like that AT&T commercial when things are just okay. Well, just okay when the rains come, that means you may find where the holes are as the rain drifts through the ceiling. And you can put the buckets down to catch the water. Who would want to get up on the roof when it's raining? Or you could wait when things are really, really bad, when you had to put down a whole lot more buckets to catch the situation, because inertia takes things in a certain direction. If things are going well, the inertia will move it forward in a good direction. If things are going poorly, then just the opposite will happen. So the best time to have an assessment is when things are going well, and it would cost you a lot less in the long run. I think about that electrical grid in Texas. That when things were going well before the ice storm, there was no problem. But because it hadn't been checked, by the time the storm came, it was a lot of pain, and it's probably going to cost a whole lot more than if they had done the assessment before the fact. So that's just an excellent example of how that whole thing works out sometimes. So I really enjoy the whole process of working with people, of making sure that they don't have to go through those bad situations. Again, as I started out, I said that that first situation, when I ran into it, and I guess I could relay the story. The person that I talked about, I guess they had done an unethical thing to get a job, and it was a pretty high level job, and so morale in the department had gone down. So they had a department wide meeting to talk about it, and that's why everybody was down. I think they probably knew why, but they just it was just interesting to have. So I thought that they were really on the up and up. So I told what I thought, and one of my senior colleagues pulled me aside and said, everybody knew what you said, but no one was stupid enough to say it. That person held that against me and actually was trying to give me a bad recommendation when I was going to another position. Luckily, the person that I was going to work for, I had worked for before, so they knew me, but they told me about that process. And I thought, wow, I learned something at that point, that I needed to be able to know everything I told, but not tell, know everything I told, but not tell everything I know. But I also learned how to be ethical and how to be able to say things where it would be better to be received. So in the long run, everybody gets the information they need and they can grow from it. Tough situation requires a lot of learning, a lot of processing. So anyway, I have shared information about me, about what I do, but right now and into the future, actually, I want to learn more and hear from you. I know that a lot of you have stories of things that you've done in your life that have been very helpful. You got stories similar to what I had, or maybe very, very different. But we want to help other people learn how to navigate these areas. I'm just excited about the prospect of working with people who can also share their stories. Again, this is Work Relationships Matter. I thank all of you for joining me on this podcast launch. I look forward to sharing more ideas. We'll probably do this every week, and we'll find out the exact time that it shows or how you can call it up. But we look forward to hearing from you. If you want to learn more about what I've done or learn more about my ProDestiny coaching, go to www.prodestinycoaching.com. There, I'm also on LinkedIn and Facebook, and I would like you to go over there because I have a Hump Day blog that I think would be interesting for you to see as well. So please check it out. Look forward to an opportunity to share more. Look forward to having other guests on who can share their stories, their techniques, their strategies, their relational components that help them be successful where they are. So anyway, till then, have a great day, and remember, the Edward Jones ProDestiny Coaching. Have a great day. Bye.
There's a delay.
I think we're good. Welcome to WRM, Work Relationships Matter. I'm your host, the Edward Jones, the founder and CEO of Pro Destiny Coaching. Today I have as my guest my mentor and friend, Lawana Parker. She's the founder and CEO of Courage to Live Your Dreams. Lawana is a motivational speaker, a blogger, a podcaster, and an award-winning author. She's written 9 books, and among them are bestsellers. Welcome, Lawana.
Well, hello, and thank you for that beautiful introduction. It's great to be here with you.
And it's great to be here with you. Now, I'm not going to make any secrets about it. Lawana, you have done a lot for me. You've helped me basically get to where I am today. And that's why you are one of my first podcast guests. I am so glad to have you here.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here. And thank you for the compliment, but it's all you. You did the work that got you to the point where you are.
Well, thank you so much. So, and folks in the audience, I want you to know, Lawana has done so many things. The one weakness she has is that sometimes she's just too modest. So the thing that I want to do is I want you all to get to know Lawana the way I know her. This is a person that is professional, but most of all, personable. We talk about what we do, but we really want to know who people are. So what I want to do, first of all, Lawana, is ask who you are. How do you describe yourself?
That is really a tough question. And I was writing a blog about the same thing. I never really gave thought about who I am. I just am. As you said, I do so many things that I thoroughly enjoy. One of the things that I really enjoy is teaching and sharing with people the knowledge that I have. It's the greatest thing for me is to see somebody's eyes light up or sense that aha moment when they really gather what it is that you were imparting to them, and they know. I am pleased to see that not only you, but there are others who I watched them grow, and I thank the Lord that I was able to play a small part in them leaving. It's great, to know that you make a difference in somebody's life. That's who I am.
And part of who you are too that I see is that you're humble, you're inspirational, and you're a very giving person. One of the things that we talked about before we went on the air is that you give so much to other people, selfless would be the word. You give so much to other people that sometimes you forget about yourself. So, what are you doing for self-care?
I've been accused of that many, many times that I think I failed to take care of myself. As far as self-care for me, well, I'll tell you what I did. 2 days ago, I woke up and I was not in the best frame of mind. And I thought, I cannot do anything or function like this. So I'm going to do what I'm always telling other people to do, take care of myself. And I went, fixed myself a little tub of hot, sudsy water, put my feet in, sat back, leaned back, I should say, on my couch while my feet were soaking and watched the old rerun of Perry Mason. And when it went off, I dried my feet off and they felt so good and it just lifted my spirit. I felt great. So my day was
excellent. I said excellent. I think that's really, really good. So you probably need to do more of that.
I probably do. And I most likely I will, because it was very liberating. And not enough of us do that for ourselves, especially moms. Moms are so busy taking care of the children, and these days they don't just take care of the children and cook and clean house, but they also work and they have to be there for both the kids and the husband. So they don't have time to think about themselves. They become nurturers, and along the way they forget who they are because they're so busy taking care of others. And I'm guilty of that same thing. And so, it's not, don't get me wrong, that's not the first time I treated
Hmm.
hammered myself. But that day it had been a while and it felt good.
Right, right. Because I know you have long days with everything that you're doing. So we'll get into that a little bit more. But before we do that, it always talks about, you introduced me to Greg Dushwall. Is that his name? He did a workshop back, was it October?
Uh, was that in October? I believe it was. Craig does walk. That's his
Right,
name. Yes, it was
right.
in October.
Now, one thing that he said, and this is what stuck with me. He said some of the most impactful things that happen to people are between the ages of 5 and 12 when they're growing up, could be positive, negative, or whatever it might be, but things that really, really stick with them. Growing up, what are the things that stuck with you that kind of helped make you who the person you are today?
Mhm. Well, I'll tell you this, the one thing that really helped me be who I am, because growing up, I had no, my self-esteem was in the barrel, at the bottom of the barrel. But there was
Mm,
this woman who said something to my mother that I have never forgotten. When my mother was concerned about me, and she was talking to the woman, and she said, Miss Rose, you don't have to worry about Lawana. Lawana is the last one of your children you will ever have to worry about because she will always be able to take care of herself. That stuck with me. It meant a great deal to me. I never spoke to the lady about it. The subject never came up again, but it stayed with me. And no
hmm
matter what situation I got into, I always remember what she said and I would pray. I like to think that God has sent little angels that watch over me.
hmm Well, excellent. How many brothers and sisters did you have?
Well, the ones that my mother gave birth to, there was 8 of us, one boy
Okay.
and 7 girls. But then
Mm.
my dad went and remarried, and he had 2 more kids. Plus, the woman he married had 3 kids. So that's a whole lot of us.
Yeah. So that's a lot. It's
Mhm.
really interesting because looking at you now, I would never think that you had low self-esteem.
Oh, yes, I did. Oh, yes, I did. I was fortunate because despite the low self-esteem, I
Hmm.
always wanted to do things.
Hmm.
Books was books was my, oh my gosh, books to me saved my life. Okay.
Okay.
I read constantly. When I found out there was
Hmm.
a library, it's about 2 miles from where we live. I went to the library. I saw all these books and I wanted to take some books home. And she said, well, you got to get a library card. And she
Right.
looked at the card. I had to walk all the way back home, have my mother fill the card out, walk back to the library and
Hmm.
give her the card. And I went around there. And at the time, you could take as many as 10 books at one time.
Oh
I
my
took 10
goodness.
books
Hmm.
and walked back home. And
Right.
that next week, I was back again for another 10 books. I
Oh
love,
wow.
and anytime I felt really down, I could pick up a book and read, and it would take me anywhere in the world that I wanted to be. And it was just enjoyable.
Hmm.
So, because I read so much, I found myself interested in doing other things. Like I wanted to ballet dance.
Hmm.
My mother didn't have money for us to do that kind of stuff. So I got
Right.
a book out of the library and learned the 5 steps for your feet and the 5 steps for your hands and your arm.
Okay.
But that was about all I could do. I could not stand on my toes. I tried.
Mm.
I was an adult before I found out that there's special shoes for that.
Right.
But I there were many things that I did growing up in school, like fencing and tumbling. I did all of those things. You would think
Hmm.
it would have built my confidence.
Right.
That self-esteem was, I mean, it was down in the ground, and it was just terrible. But then as an adult, I started meeting people who saw things in me that I didn't see in myself, and they didn't let me hide from it. They would
Okay.
encourage me, which is, I guess it's why I do that a lot,
Hmm.
because I don't want anybody to miss out on opportunities because they feel they're not qualified or not worthy or
Mhm.
and cares. There's so much each one of us has to offer to others that it's a shame when we don't take advantage of it.
Mhm.
I found myself,
What?
it was really strange because when I left Sacramento,
Mhm.
left LA and we came to Sacramento, I met a woman who was into modeling. And it was
Mhm.
something I always wanted to do. But I'd always heard I was too short and I was black. So what was the point of me wasting my time? Well,
Mhm.
this lady was very black, and she saw something that she felt I had in me and asked me if I would consider being one of her models. She had a
Mhm.
group. Well, eventually, not I not only modeled for her, but she made me a director of one of her beauty pageants. So before long, I was pretty well known in Sacramento because I by now I had my own modeling group. I was a director of not only her pageant but another pageant that the Parks and Rec asked if I would take over, and so I just had all these things going. I even got a write up about being one of the movers and shakers. Another award I received was being one of the top 10 who was doing things in Sacramento. So I was
Mhm.
really getting well known, doing things, and then the bottom fell out.
Mhm.
I lost my son. My
Oh
son,
no.
he was in the military and he was on his way to see his fiance when he was in a car accident.
Mhm.
And it just wiped everything from me. It was like all of a sudden I had no drive to do anything. I let
Right.
everything go. I just let it go. And I
Mhm.
kept telling myself, I'm going to get back into it. I'm going to get back into it. But I didn't.
Mhm.
What ended up happening was years passed. Uh, I got involved in Toastmasters, got active with Toastmasters, but it was something different. Uh,
Mhm.
and I'm thankful for being part of that because it did help me. But
Right.
confidence that had built up suddenly was not there.
Mm.
And then when I found myself when I found myself a senior citizen and had been downsized out of my job and needed to go find another one, uh, people kept telling me they either didn't respond or they would say, well, we were looking for a different type of individual. There was always some kind of excuse. They didn't say it was my age, but I kind of felt that's what it was. And that didn't help matters either.
Right. Well, that's really interesting. Now, that's thing. As much as I've known you, I didn't know that.
Oh, yes. I was,
Right. So,
yeah.
yeah. So the thing of it is that it's almost like it's like a roller coaster in your life because the thing that happened is seems like reading was the thing that really sustained you when you were younger, as a child. And then when you got to Sacramento, there was something about you that made people want to invest in you. And you really came out of it that way. The thing that I'm really looking at is as our listeners are out there, looking at how you can pull yourself up. And one of the words that I would use for you is that you are resilient. That definitely shows a point where no matter how bad things are, you're able to find a way to find that joy. And I think that's really a very great take home message for others to hear.
Thank you. And I'll tell you, journaling helped also. I continue to read. I'm still a very avid reader, but
Okay.
journaling helped. A couple of years, well, about 3 years, almost 3 years ago, I actually sat down and wrote what I was feeling. I didn't do my
Mm-hmm.
whole life story, I
Right.
just
Yes.
wrote what I was feeling in that period, that time period. And before I
Okay.
knew it, when I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, this could be a book.
Right.
And
Right.
that's exactly what happened. It became a
Okay.
book, you know. As you can see, that green book at the top,
Yeah.
Courage to Live
Yes.
My Dream. came from me
Right.
writing in my journal
Mm-hmm.
what I was feeling and what I needed to do to come out of what I was feeling, because I was not going to go to a therapist, a psychiatrist, or a counselor. I was
Mm-hmm.
determined that I was getting out of this. And of course,
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that praying helped a lot as well. I think that's
Right.
one of my strong points because I really believe in God. I know that's people don't want to hear that so much nowadays, but if I didn't feel that God was with me, that He didn't
Mm-hmm.
send angels to protect me at times, I don't know. I don't know if I'd
Mm-hmm.
be here talking to you now, but I do
Yep.
try to be helpful to others. And I've had people comment about me smiling all the time. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I tell them you should have seen me before I learned how to smile.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You probably would not have wanted to be around me because a few people have told me they didn't know if they should approach me because I looked like I was ready to fight. You know?
Well, why did you start smiling?
I One too many people told me that, and I made this the decision
Mm-hmm.
that from now on I will smile and speak to everyone. Didn't matter who they,
Okay.
whether they responded back or not. And so that's what
Mm-hmm.
I did. At
Okay.
first, it was really rough because my muscles weren't used to they
Mm-hmm.
weren't used to me doing that. But now I mean, I just do it automatically now.
Mm-hmm. So it just became a habit.
It became a habit. I started it in 1995.
Okay, wow, a long time. So did when you started smiling, did you start feeling that's an outward expression? Did that start making you feel better on the inside too?
It did. And part of it was because before I was shy about starting conversations. And I
Mm-hmm.
discovered a smile and saying hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Right.
Started conversations. People would respond back and they would
Okay.
start to talk to me. And so it was a win-win for me. I hope
Okay.
it was for the people that I spoke to as well, because they would start conversation, which was a great help since I didn't know
R-
how.
Right. Yeah, so I think the thing of it is what I'm basically hearing is that you bring the sunshine. So when you weren't smiling, the reaction weren't as good. You weren't feeling as good inside. But when you started smiling, people responded in a way and it lifted your spirits and theirs. Would that be correct?
That would be correct. That would be correct. I do smile even if I'm feeling bad. Nobody knows. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I one of my thing is why bring somebody else down because I'm feeling down. And the good
Right.
thing about smiling and speaking to people, if you
Right.
are down, it'll bring you
Yeah.
up. You'll sit up
Right.
and whatever it is that's bothering you, or you come up with a way to handle whatever the situation is that was troubling you. So it's
Mm-hmm.
still again a win-win.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you've covered some of this already, but the thing as a work relationship coach, I want to get a little bit into the work world and think about your experiences when you worked for someone else. What were some of the things you learned as you did that? What were some of the high points and some of the low points, and how you worked your way out of those situations when you worked in situations where you worked with someone else? We got the tail end of it that you said you were uh, downsized out of a thing, but while you were working, what were some of the things that you really enjoyed, and so what were some of the things that you felt you had to overcome?
Well, let me just say, first of all, the phone company was one of the first companies that I worked for a number of years. I spent 27 years with them, and I learned good customer service for them. And I
Okay.
still believe and deliver that type of service when I'm with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
When I left them, I did temp work, and the place that I ended up working at, I temp with them for about a week when they decided they wanted to hire me.
Mm-hmm.
I was with them for 16 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
What I learned from them was that I could do almost anything if I put my mind to it.
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple of the directors who asked why hadn't I applied for administrative assistant, and my
Mm-hmm.
response was, I've never done that. That's secretarial work. I have no
Hmm.
training or knowledge of how to do that. So they
Right.
tell me what to do to apply for the position the next
Hmm.
time there's an opening. I got
Right.
the position. I learned administrative assistant work. When I learned some things about not accounting, but the loan department. I left
Hmm.
there, and when they didn't need me anymore, and went to the accounting department, where I learned about the stuff there that goes on behind the scenes, as far as the money is concerned, the donations,
Hmm.
grants, and things. But on top
Right.
of that, I was given the opportunity to find out about some tickets that were
Hmm.
unexplained, what happened to them. And I discovered
Okay.
people making flight arrangements, then canceling and forgetting they had a ticket that they could reuse and making
Okay.
buy new tickets.
Hmm.
So because of my customer service that I had learned from the phone company, I was able to talk to these airline companies and explain to them that we were a nonprofit organization and we had to be accountable for every penny we spent, and we
Right.
be willing to extend the use of the tickets because some of those
Mm.
tickets had expired, some were about to expire. And I was
Right.
able to get extensions on those tickets.
Hmm.
When I wrote up my report, I had saved the company almost $10,000 in ticket money.
Amazing. Oh, Luana, every time I talk to you, I learn something new about you, and I've known you for years, but every year I'm learning something new. So glad to have this opportunity that you would share that. So it sounds like your work experience for someone else is really, really great. So the switch over to being an entrepreneur, how has that been and what have been the ups and downs of that?
Oh my God. Now that is a job. It is not easy. It is far more satisfying though, because whatever you do, whether you fail or succeed, it all lays with you. You can't put
Right.
the blame on anyone else. It's all
Hmm.
you. And
Right.
the feeling when I succeed at something is, oh my gosh, it's I can't even describe. As I told somebody the other day, I was walking on cloud nine because
Mm.
I've gone into I've added something else to my field, and that's teaching journaling.
Okay.
See, I didn't think anyone would be interested.
Okay.
I had 18 people who signed up,
Hmm.
and another four who contacted me, who knew me, contacted me that day and said, "Can you just send me the link? I want to come."
Hmm.
So all in all, I had 22 people who were excited about it. I'll be truthful, only 12 showed up. But
Okay.
point, the point is 12 showed up and they
Right.
didn't just sit there. It was interactive.
Hmm.
We talked, and because I told them up front, this recording, I am recording it, but it stays with me. Anything you
Right.
see in here stays here. It is not to go outside this room. And
Right.
people open up and share things, and I realized that there are more people who need to know about journaling. And I'll just briefly
Okay.
tell you, journaling is can help you when it comes to mental health. It can help you when it comes to stress. It can help you with setting goals. It can help you to come up with new ideas. There is so much to journaling that I have been learning that
Hmm.
I'm just really excited about it. So I'm planning. I've already have a class for Monday, but I when that class is over, I'm ready for the next one.
Okay. Well, excellent. And again, you used it so you were able to share your knowledge with other people and they benefited from that.
Yes, they did. Yes, they
Okay,
did.
now when is the next opportunity for people to sign up for your journaling?
Well, if they want to sign up for this one starts Monday. This is a paid class, though. It's not free.
Okay.
It's
Mm-hmm.
$97, but it's 4 weeks, an hour each week.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll go for 4 weeks, as I said. And when that one is completed, we'll start a new one. The good
Mm-hmm.
thing is when you sign up for this one, if you have to miss a day, you can make it up with the next session. So
Okay. So where did they go to sign up for this?
They can go over on Eventbrite. You'll find it
Mhm.
under journaling and self-care class, or you can contact me by calling 916-698-0889,
Mhm.
or email me at lawana@lawanaspeaks.com.
Mhm. Okay, well, great. Now, the thing we notice is that you do a number of things. We don't have time to cover all of them today, but between your speaking, your blogging, your podcasting, your writing, which one stands out the most with you, and maybe you've done the most of, and what motivates you to do it?
Well, I do like writing and I do like speaking. They kind of they compete far as what
Okay.
I really enjoy. I went back to blogging. I took a breather from it because I thought nobody's really paying attention to it. But last year
Mm-hmm.
I went back to blogging and I made the commitment I would blog something every day, even if it was only a quote. And
Okay.
all I've done maybe 6 quotes. The others have been actual writings on there. So I've
Mm-hmm.
got 225, 26 blog posts up right now. And
Wow.
not only that, whereas before nobody was paying attention, I now have almost 260 people who are following me. So
Oh, great.
that's, and I, somebody told me if you're consistent, the people will come, and they've been coming. So I'm excited
Mm-hmm.
about that. Mhm.
Yeah, I think I've seen you on LinkedIn.
And you probably have. I
Yes.
goes over there and Facebook. I'll try to think. And I think, oh, and Instagram goes over there too.
Mhm. Okay. So you're
Yeah.
hitting them all, and they were looking at the idea is that most of us are not digital natives. We had to learn all this stuff, and it seems like you picked it up really, really well.
Well, I don't know how well I picked it up, but I tell you, it's certainly is a change from when I think about it as a little girl. No telephone, no electricity. We used
Hmm.
kerosene lamps, took baths
Right.
in the kitchen by the stove. Big
Hmm.
changes, big changes. So who would have thought?
Right. Yeah. So the thing it is this. So when we think about it again, you are a wealth of knowledge and inspirational person. What else do you want our listeners to know that we haven't talked about today? What else do we need to know about Lawana Parker, about her and how she helps other people, or anything else that you think we should know? You've already given me a couple of things that I didn't know today, but I'm sure you probably got some more things that I can learn.
Well, one of the things that I uh, have discovered I kind of enjoy doing, and that's helping people to tell their real story, to
Okay.
get them to bring those things out. Because I, even myself, I have some things I have not shared with people in general, maybe a few close
Hmm.
friends, and even they don't know everything. But
Okay.
there sometimes those stories that are in you that are really deep,
Hmm.
ones that need to be shared because they'll help someone else.
Okay.
I like helping people do it, and I'm pretty good at doing that. So you got a story in you, I'll bring it out, and we'll create either a book or a book compilation where you'll be in with other writers.
How do you do that? How does one go about doing that, and how do you get them started?
Well, now you're going to have to come to one of my sessions. You
Okay,
can
let's talk
book
about
an
that.
appointment with me, and we'll go on from there. But yes, it can be done. If I can do it, anybody can do it. I've got behind me. There's 7 of the 9 books that I have out. The first 2, the green and the pink, are all mine with my name on the cover. The other 5 are books that are compilations that I'm a part of.
Hmm.
Yes,
Right. Well, one thing, and Lawana, I can always catch up with you, but what I'm asking for is for our listeners to know how they can do it.
that's part of the training. And that again, you need to contact me. Email me, lawana@lawanaspeaks.com. I don't have I should have it. Bad me. The link
Hmm.
to book an appointment, but if you'll email me, I'll send you the link. You can book an appointment and we'll go from there. Uh, it is it is a fun thing. There's nothing like seeing your words written and knowing that other people are reading it. There are people reading my words just on the blog that are from countries like Bulgaria, Romania, Hong Kong, Singapore, China, Canada, the UK. I mean, people I will never meet are reading my words, and I hope that I'm making a difference in their lives in some way.
And I really think you are. So, Luana, we're just about out of time. So I just want to thank you for coming on today and sharing all that you've done and how you're helping people. Thank you for sharing the information about how to contact you. Look forward to seeing more of your stuff on LinkedIn and other places. Once again, this is Luana Parker, the founder and CEO of Courage to Live Your Dreams. This is Work Relationships Matter, and I'm your host, The Edward Jones, a certified life coach who looks at helping people as well, and a lot of you helping me to be able to help others. I thank you so much for your time and look forward to future conversations. Have a great day.
Thank you, and it's been an honor and a pleasure to be here with you.
And that's a wrap.